Happy Easter, everyone. Welcome. Let me get the Autist mic up again.
That
There
would
you
make
are.
sense.
How you doing today, buddy?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Hello, William Barry. Happy Easter, everyone. Gregor Aitken. It's good to have you back, John. You've been missed. I've missed you too, Gregor. Did you know that? Steve Knievel, welcome. Good buddy, a mod in our Gilded channel. There's a link in the description and how to join that. We'll talk more about that in a bit. Lord of the Ree on Rumble in the integrated chat. Happy Easter, world champions. He is risen. David Oler King, the second. Dave. Happy Easter. Do you know what that means? Does he know what that means? Scuba Sheev, don't let your Cadbury creams be dreams. It is the day for the Cadbury creams. Trash Laser Guitarist. Happy Easter from cannabis-friendly Michigan. Trump 2024. Eric Holloman, how awesome it was to see you back on the platform. You were missed. It's good to be back, Eric. Welcome. Jones Knit, what's up? I've got to get back to you in the Gilded as well. Good afternoon, you beautiful, wonderful patriots. Has anyone told you lately? You rock, and God loves you. Happy Easter from Robert Whaley. He is risen. Mal saying, what's up, Mal? Chatted with Mal a bit Friday evening with Dodger and Severanon on Pilled. It was a good time. I see Pictish. The Harambe phone sounds great. I'm not on the Harambe phone, I hate to say. But the Harambe phone is here with us. He's here with us. We'll talk more with the Harambe phone later. Welcome, Pictish on Rumble. Ryan Chrysler, howdy, let's get rowdy. Happy Easter from Mal. Gen X Granny, welcome back. Green with the logos are the YouTube members, if you recall. Happy Easter. Hail friends from Bong Donkey. Chronic Abundus Nicolas. Happy Easter to everyone. Lord of the Ree, what's up? We caught you. Rock the Chasma. Happy Tranny Invisibility Day. Ooh, we are going to talk about that. That is the theme of today's show, if my buttons will work. Oh, maybe I can't do it on that screen. Happy Easter, everybody. There it is. The episode theme of today, the separation of church and state. Hour one here, 2, 3. We're going to talk about Easter and Joe Biden Day, or Trans Visibility Day. 2024 in general in politics. Hour 2, forming a Congress. The Third Continental Congress. Freud was right. Begins to take shape. We'll talk about that. It'll be a good time. Let's get back to the Chatsky and catch a few more of you. Curious what you guys are doing on this Easter day. It's kind of nice here, a little bit chilly. Where did I leave off? Linda Love, welcome. Happy Easter. A Blinken, Trump 2020 revenge tour for sure. Astro Boy, he's here for his Judeo-Christian values. That would be a good conversation. AOC, Alexandria Occasional Cortex, has joined us with the double exclamation points. It's on brand. Dog Stray, happy Easter, one love. It's the big Mike. That's the big news, the immediate news. The Harambe phone is complete minus a very annoying 60 hertz hum that I could not get rid of. And so I will be in pursuit of that this week so I can use it. Volume. But I do have it plugged in here. Let me turn them off. Go to sleep. Go to sleep, sweet prince. Come back, sweet prince.
Mhm.
The Harambe phone. Very proud of that. So he's our third camera today. And also joining me today, the autist, formerly, currently, and in the future to be known as 0.92. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Our bi-weekly guest, beeping and booping on this fine Easter Sunday. I have a feeling you don't celebrate Easter, although I also have a feeling you don't celebrate Trans Visibility Day. How are my feelings in terms of accuracy?
I'd say that sounds about right.
How do you feel about this jungle music?
It's interesting. I wonder what the idea, the motivation there was. What?
No thought whatsoever.
No?
You know how I roll. You know how I roll. Happy Easter. Today's theme, the separation of church and state, if you don't know, comes from the First Amendment, the very first lines of the First Amendment, called the Establishment Clause. Congress shall make no law respecting religion, which is French for religion. Keep the government out of it, say the Founding Fathers. We did an okay job at that for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And now Joseph Biden declares it March 31st, National Trans Visibility Day. Let's make them all visible. I found this curious and rather obvious ploy, what they call bait, to get everybody all riled up. So you kind of now, if you become aware that he's done this, it would be nice if you hadn't. That's why you stay away from the media. But now that you're aware of it, you kind of have two choices. One is spend all Easter talking about trannies, transmissions, manual and automatic, which is a losing, that is a losing Easter. Or you can ignore it and just eat another big bite of bullshit, which is also losing.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you have whited Biden, who's not Biden, the Biden team Biden, that has a puppet ostensibly named Joe Biden. Those people, why did they do this? They've created a lose-lose situation for us because that's how they roll. So then you think, what kind of person likes to, unsolicited, create lose-lose situations for everybody? It's a person that does not enjoy being alive. You do not look at life and say, nice, I like it. They say, no, that's not worth living. But rather than do the decent thing, and we talked about this a bit with Severe and Dodger and Camus, the only interesting philosophical question is suicide. Right, the decent thing to do, if you really just look at the world and go, nah, is just remove yourself from the situation peacefully. Even a couple middle fingers on your way out. But walk backwards and don't run into anybody on the way out. Well, that's not what this is. This is, hey, everybody's having a good time. Quickly, let's get all the attention on me so that I can ruin your day. But again, the silver lining in that to me is what kind of person would be trying to drag everybody down is a kind of person that to some degree doesn't like being alive, and therefore, in some sense, knows the end is near. If they know the end is near and yet lack the ability to take themselves out or the will to do that, or that's not what it's about, then they must have some feeling that they're going down and it's not in their control. Is that a lot? You on board with any of that thinking?
I don't know if I'm entirely on board with that, no.
Happy Easter. So quickly, the deacon healing up, still not with us, the autist with us, but the deacon usually does a prayer. In lieu of the prayer, I've kicked around the idea of a version of a sermon in this sense. It's sort of happening right now at the beginning, the separation of church and state. Here is the trick of all this, I believe, and then you can tell me what you think.
Okay.
Biden has, I'll leave you up here. Biden has
All right.
banned any religious symbols, things like that today. Separation of church and state. I don't disagree with that, frankly. The trick is that in so publicly banning these things, he then replaces them with rainbow flags and blah, 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 blah. And the trick is to make you not notice that that is also a religion. I believe we now live in a time where the separation of church and state has been totally violated. And the church, or the religion I'm talking about, is left-wing extremism. And I would include in that the sect of transgenderism. And so when you sit back and you ask yourself, what is this, what is it, number one? Is it a theory? Is it a philosophy? Is it a movement? It's a religion. But what is this thing, transgenderism, based on? Well, if you think about it, all of the science and prevailing opinion of science and public opinion, both, are in complete contrast to any idea that any of this is in any way legitimate. What I mean by that, studies have been done recently. Let's look at it from the one hand. Chemicals involved in transitioning processes quite probably cause psychosis, all other kinds of physical problems, and quite possibly very strongly increase your chances of death, self-inflicted or otherwise. Science says this.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, like all primates and most other mammals and animals you're aware of or that matter other than bacteria, things like that, humans are sexually dimorphic. The species are, and this is programmed into their DNA, different sizes, strengths, built for different purposes, although that's irrelevant. Whatever the reason, they are sexually dimorphic. They are. You could dig up a skeleton 100,000 years from now and go check out this dude. That is science. And then the other part that somewhat gets ignored, but very important and also science, is if you take this demographic and study how their lives turn out. Are they happy people? Are they having a good time? Are they making good contributions either to themselves or their families? Do they have families, or to society? The answer is a resounding no, and they are the unhappiest group of people on the planet. Coming full circle in my little sermon back to, let's make a lose-lose situation for everybody on Easter. Another group losing hugely because of this is transgenders. Because now everybody, if they didn't already, are just like, it's also March is, I believe, Women's Month, which is ridiculous in and of itself, but it is. But the last day of Women's Month, now Transgender Day. Another little fuck you to all women in the country. You're all right in my book, ladies. But if you want to get pissed about this, I ain't getting in the way.
Mm-hmm.
I will bring popcorn and some friends. Wouldn't blame you for that. So there's that going on. Everything. It's just a very transparent, in my opinion, big, giant shit on the left, the right, Christians, transgenders, men, women, everything. Because Team Joe Biden sucks, hates life, all of it, Christianity and transgender. Anybody trying to achieve anything, nope. Vote for me. Vote for... And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a John Ward Sunday Easter sermon.
Amen.
What are your thoughts on all that?
I agree with most of it. I don't know if I agree with the whole, like the what started all that or what the end goal is I'm not happy with life, and so I'm going to rather than.
I don't know that I'm saying that that's happening on a
Mhm.
conscious level with any of them. I think if you were to ask them, honestly tell us what you think you're doing, they'd be like, the right fucking thing.
Mm-hmm.
Burning it all down. And this idea more and more, it's a strange game. The only winning move is to not play. Just leave me out of your suicide. Also, don't interrupt, don't murder a man in the middle of committing suicide. Just, I don't. So I'm certainly not going to get mad about this today. I really actually put quite a bit of thought this morning into how to like not talk about it. And then it's like, well, you kind of have to talk about it, number one, because we're a political show. But I actually think it shouldn't be totally ignored. You shouldn't just eat a big mouthful of...
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm saying that not just to Christians, but also to transgender people who, all other things considered, if it wasn't affecting my life in any way, I would not give a shit. That or any other weird shit you want to do, I actually don't care. You know, there's the obvious commonsensical parts of like, well, you can't, I don't want you like trafficking humans and shit. Don't fucking that, but that's involving me back into your world, and then I got to get involved. So things that don't in some way make me have to get involved as a rational person, I don't give a shit. And that is, I mean, it's one of them. I don't fucking care. People are so weird. But making it a visibility day or a special day or a holiday or a month for women, I find just as ridiculous. And having an Easter themed, we must all be Christian party at the White House, frankly, I would not agree with. Although now, just for the sake of balance, it seems necessary. And yet again, that is the game they force you into playing. The fallacy of the excluded middle is that we really just shouldn't have Christian symbols or transgender symbols on the White House if the statement you're making is we're not going to do religious symbols. Vice versa is on any given thing that anybody finds important, it's kind of celebrated in some way. But that's been tried, and what you end up with is like U.S. embassies in Iran with gay pride flags on them. So the solution figured out a long time ago is separate church and state.
Mm-hmm.
Just separate it. And it's also the problem with that. And so now let's get the chat get involved here. I'm curious. But can you truly separate church and state? And did the founding fathers believe that you could? Is America a Christian nation? Should it be? And we're talking about two different ways of approaching every single one of these questions. Number one is quite literally like on paper, in the law, is America a Christian nation? Technically, no. I think you can immediately answer. It's not written that way. But is it, in a different way of asking the question, not on paper? You have this dichotomy of legal and lawful, I think are good terms to use to kind of think about this paradox. But so is America a Christian nation? And if it is, should it be? In both ways of looking at that question. I'm willing to take any amount of heat on not having Christian symbolism or like not government sanctioned, I guess is my point. So in the chat, Gen X Grandy, it's affecting almost everyone now. There's no hiding from it. I agree. The Booze King, confiscate their coats. Williams Channel, welcome William Maines. It's been a psyop from the get-go. Mindo Boy, typical hypocrisy of these figs. As if they're not Linda Love, as if they're not totally and disgustingly visible every day. We'll keep this going here. We'll come back to it in a minute. But yeah, I don't think I'm saying anything revolutionary or anything original, frankly. But the key point being separation of church and state, and the term church.
But I think like one of the comments was it's not about separating. It's not about taking religion out of the government. It's about the government not specifying which.
Correct. So you
religion.
have, yeah, in the should have pulled this up.
I didn't see who said that, but it was in the
Well, no.
chat.
So yeah, in the First Amendment, I always get my links crossed. Producer.
Which I do think there's a lot of stuff like that.
Right. The Establishment Clause shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. And then the second part, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. I think this was thought about in a very computer sciencey way, in an algorithm way. What algorithm can we write that lets you have whatever you want to do?
Right.
Right? Without being restricted, but also that one of them doesn't completely take over the country, is the idea. Nick's 5 cents. It's on our money. It's on the Pledge of Allegiance. In God we trust. Jefferson 33, I believe separation of church and state is the Federalist Papers, not the Constitution. So it's, well, we just had it up. Thos Alman, separation of churches, not separate of Christian foundational principles. So yeah, so Thomas Alman is getting at kind of what I was starting to say. Can you separate church and state? You have to, I mean, if you're going to have a state, it's this sort of declaration, right? The Bill of Rights were part of this declaring the individual. It came after the country was formed. There were amendments. It's like, holy shit, we need to protect the individual within the state. He's probably gone now. Oh, right. No, he's still there right at the top. So Christian principles have a lot of overlap. We're talking very broad strokes here, so forgive me. But with just being a decent person in a functional society, right? So like the golden rule, treat others as you want to be treated, is, I guess, a very reductionist but quick way to talk about the New Testament to a degree. And you can look at any functional society and you'll see them doing lots of behaviors that you could just say those are Christian behaviors, and they would be, even though they're not Christian. I have no problems with those people or anything like that. And so I think that's objectively true. And then you get into sort of the mythology and the ritual of Christianity, which I think are necessary to having a culture and things like that. But what I don't think is that those things should be forced upon without a choice on whatever the idea of the United States was supposed to be. So that's, like, in my opinion, exactly how it's written. And it's the United States became this blank piece of canvas, and the law was structured in a way, I think, to try to encourage, do whatever you want, but if your idea is stupid, it'll fail. This will be a garden, and we'll throw seeds, and we'll create conditions that the best seeds will grow, is what I believe they were trying to do as best they could, was the program they were trying to write. Jefferson 33, what you just read does not mention separating. I'm done with that one. Robert Mosley, we have to go back. They made some mistakes. I mean, I do agree. So Robert Mosley is The United States was an attempt. It was also written in a way to allow itself to be edited, right? To edit the code along the way. And then also the warning, famously from Thomas Jefferson, but many people, that the tree of liberty must be watered from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants, both. Right? Which is also that G.K. Chesterton story I like to tell of, if you want a white post, you need to keep painting it white again, because if you leave it there over time and go back, it's going to be a dirty old black post.
Mm-hmm.
That is the same thing that Thomas Jefferson is saying when he's talking about watering the tree of liberty. But Chesterton is emphasizing the idea of entropy, and Jefferson is emphasizing the individual's responsibility in overcoming that. So. Chat. We got a thing. Dodger is in the house. What's up, Dodger? That was quickly, over on Pilled. Severe Anon is the channel. But Friday we had a really good talk. It was a good time. It was nice to be on a different show and be able to be a little more freewheeling, which I'm trying to learn from and do now. But I would highly recommend checking that out. And then Pilled or Foxhole, the comments with the little check mark. Great platform. Still trying to get more involved over there. But I would highly recommend you guys check that out. I know a lot of people like Rumble, but nobody seems to like YouTube or X. And so Pilled is a good alternative. I would check it out. Okay. Gen X Granny. Obviously to prevent the government from telling us what to worship, yet they do. They don't define it as religion, but it is. Yeah, I think that is the trick. That's the trick, is just, it's not a religion, but blah, blah, blah. It's like, that's the fuck. It has rituals and everything. Is not sort of the idea of being canceled the same as a religious ostracizing, right? Or exiling, right? Mm-hmm. It's not so much about anymore, are the ideas good? It's you must agree with the ideas or be kicked out. It's become a religion. And it definitely violates this. And so it's the trick, here we are, of pulling the wool over your eyes. We will have no religious symbols this Sunday. Instead, we will have religious symbols. Whoops. Mal saying hello from Pilled. Scott 17 on Pilled. That was a good show. Yeah, I agree. Who else trying to catch people I haven't already caught before here? Guaranteed success. Tree of Liberty looking mighty thirsty. There's a drought. There's a drought where that tree's planted. I agree. Scott 17 also. Pilled is the platform built by patriots for patriots. There you go. It is the FUBU of platforms. Not making fun of it, being serious. Tinka, I have not seen it. If your third Continental comes off the way we want it to, I want to do calligraphy for the special documents on vellum. I don't know where you would come up with vellum, but that would be awesome. I'm for it. We'll talk about that 3cc a little more, I think, in the second hour. It's good talk getting going here, though. Oil City News. Catholic Church didn't like Masons back in the day because Masons believed in the separation. Masons helped form our government. I mean, I think that is actually a good... So the thing that not having a religion opens you up to is, the sort of subversion over time. Just in the same way, a single individual who hasn't made up their mind about who they are and what they believe in is open to being influenced by propaganda. Going back to G.K. Chesterton, I really like his quote of, the idea of having an open mind is not to keep it open forever, it's to close it again on something solid. Right? You're opening your mind to different ideas. Let me consider the validity of transgenderism or abortion or blah. But you don't just leave it open and keep letting weirder and weirder stuff in. So as he says, the idea of an open mind is to close it again on something solid. Transgenderism as a religion's had one of the shortest runs in the history of religions. It's been probably less than 10 years. I would argue it's officially ended as a religion today. Beginning of the end kind of thing. That's what it is, though. That is what the entirety of the left is. The tricky part is then that also what the entirety of the right is. Curious on thoughts on that. How long before bong hit, or how long before Biden takes tax exempt from churches to send to Ukraine? or tax exempts some of these organizations. Plick, channel member, welcome. We got to watch out for Nicolas Cage and Sean Connery. Sal the Hamster, welcome on Rumble. One thing everyone forgets about is the literal political structures of churches at the time of the founding. It was more about separating foreign influence as much as keeping the infighting down. I believe also originally that each state or many states had their one official church, and part of that was to sort of break up those churches' control over the states, not unlike the way that the same kind of thing on a microcosmic scale. So in our area, they are changing the laws so that to be able to legally build a house as a small business is getting harder and harder and harder. Basically, anyone can build a house, but to build a house, you must have built 3 houses. It's like Trump's bail payment. It's in the one world, it's technically legal to do shit like that. In the other world, it makes it physically impossible unless you have certain resources, and that's the whole idea. Sorry, I'm just fucking this stuff kind of. It's good talk.
Maintaining the status quo.
Yeah. Yeah, and so like it's the white post, it's the tree of liberty. You separate church and state. I think that came from a good place and got realized for a good reason was you don't want to be dominated by these people that just win by having been older and bigger than you and around longer. Like you just can't win. There's always new people being born. We want a garden where seeds can grow. We also don't want to chop down good plants or anything to grow shitty seeds. I mean, it's both, right? Just because a tree's big and old doesn't make it a piece of shit. But eventually, they're kind of dead and standing, and you wait a long ass time for them to fall, or you just chop them down, burn them, and move on. I don't know. You can beat boop on this however you feel like, by the way, at any point.
Oh, I've been doing it the whole time.
So I guess I don't know. What happens when you replace? I think it originally came from a good place, but then you're left with this country that got convinced in aggregate anyway, the American single organism, if there's such a thing, that you open your mind, good, everybody agrees, but we left it open. And here we are.
I think it's just diluting. It's confusing people. It's I mean, like I believe it says something about don't use the Lord's name in vain, somewhere along the line.
Oh,
like,
sure.
The whole idea, my understanding of that was the whole idea was not to secure your own profit under the guise of religious pursuit. It's not that, you can't say his name. We'll end upset, but like the idea is like it just keeps
vain pursuits, selfish pursuits.
Mm-hmm.
Don't invoke,
mm-hmm.
Like Joel Osteen kind of shit.
But it's just and that's kind of another thing too about like watering stuff down, diluting it. You throw enough in there to make it what was originally a good thing not look like a good thing.
Mm-hmm. A lot of language games. Again, very relevant to the idea of there will be no religious symbols. Oops, religious symbols, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's important to understand this trick today. I think when it clicks, you're not mad about it. You're not mad that you're talking about it, but you didn't have to ignore it and eat a bunch of shit. You become removed from it objectively and can call it out. Religion. Not to go troll people and say, hey, nice religion, but it's just unironically and scientifically talk about it that way and ignore anybody that gets mad about you talking that way, but keep doing it. I don't know. But also, I mean, again, should we be a Christian nation? Are we, and should we be? Eric Smitherino, all gods are man-made. Religion requires faith. God speaks against religion. Boondock Saints kind of nailed it. Okay, this is Plick. Do not lie, do not steal, do not rape. These are values any man of any faith must hold, or something along those lines. Yeah. Yeah. That is, I think, kind of what the idea was. I mean, again, it was very Christian dominated in the early United States. It's understandable why that language is everywhere. Words do matter, says Jones Knit. But I think even they intended it to grow, again, you don't want a garden that can't grow Christian plants. They very much wanted all of that stuff. Many different kinds of it, in fact. And here they are. But not just keep letting it become a big overgrown weed. There needs to be some gardening, some maintenance, some pulling of the weeds. Astro Boy, okay, this is a separate discussion. Markets and moda. What if religion and church isn't so much about belief, but more about the community being together based on common morals, and they govern themselves?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so we've mentioned before, and I've been working in pop culture references as much as they're kind of goofy, but The Departed is a movie I like more and more as I watch it. At the very, very beginning, we had the church, which was really just a way of saying we had each other. Right? It was this idea that churches 500 years ago were this ultra, I mean, not that wasn't a thing, but in the main sense, it was the central building in the village. It was the community center. Why people were religious and why that was Christian in most of Europe at that time, I mean, you can go read about it. But in a sense, it's when you get groups of people, they'll create a community center. And in those times and before, and even still now, it's usually religious because it's cohesive. And so that's, again, the separation of church and state. Can you do that philosophically, mathematically? Is it even real? But would you want to do that? Or are you better off picking one religion and hoping, that, I mean, then you're sort of, at that point, your state is throwing in its lot with the religion. It lives and dies with the religion.
How important do you think it is for a religion to be telling you how to worship that religion?
Not at all for me personally. But I'm also really bad at being part of organized groups. But I mean, I do think, so let me first, religion and culture, I think, are very intertwined terms. I think culture is very necessary. And culture on an individual scale would be something like it's very necessary to have both a mother and father as a child to teach you things that's your culture. But still a lot of what you get taught, no matter what literal religion you're brought up in or none at all, is sort of religious or superstitious ideas. There's tons of stuff we haven't figured out yet. You're going to get asked as a parent why those things are, and you kind of just come up with answers for things the best you
there's
get.
Giants in the sky.
Yeah, and those ideas get more and more realistic, and the models become more testable, and then you kind of pick the ones that are more accurate. And we're actually in an interesting time with all of that, to digress for a little bit, but like physics is so broken, there's a lot of science in many ways, hard sciences are so whack that the idea of religious solutions or spiritual ones, or that the universe is alive, or the model needs to somehow account for observers, is all already in the mainstream. This is, I mean, everywhere. If you watch Rogan and all that, I mean, like, everyone's talking about this. It's like, that's broken. Everything's broken. It's a bunch of weeds.
I just
felt fake research.
I just felt like weeds. A lot of I don't consider myself religious, and I always have conversations with people of religion because I like having conversations. But I always felt that religions really emphasize, like, essentially the whole point of the religion was the idea of worshiping. It was, as opposed to the community, as opposed to helping each other or just simply being there. If somebody needed guidance, if somebody needed help, if somebody needed to talk to somebody, to see something, and like the whole, with culture, you have somebody there to see what you're doing that might change how you think about it as well. But but it just became you go to church or you listen to somebody say be a good person, and that was justified, and you're done. You're religious now.
For me, even at an early age, you got like, why are we going to church? Because if you're a kid, and when I was in church, was super boring, and just all this, and you're like, why do we do all these different things? And the answer is, it's just what we do.
Right.
And so that's not enough.
Mm-hmm.
You've lost contact. I mean, I believe the rituals originally, like, they help you preserve your faith. Stoicism wasn't unlike that. You test yourself, you fast, right? You endure solitary confinement or existence in some way. And then there becomes this like warrior class, and then they sort of become this guiding older force for the younger generation, and then you have this culture that starts perpetuating itself, and whoever is creating the best balance of warrior culture and also society culture. It's the two different things your culture has: your outward facing weapons and armor, and your inward facing, organization and society and how you treat each other. And then, let's take two of these random groups. They come into contact. Whoever's, better keeps existing, and then so on and so forth. But all this time, they maintain sort of their cohesion, and that's kind of different now. It's also fucking picked apart, like somebody went into a computer and hacked it all, and now it's just spitting out just the craziest shit you can think of, and you're like, oh, this makes sense.
I feel like
I don't
that
know.
was
So
intentional.
Well, yeah. So you realize the rituals are now meaningless, or at least nobody alive understands why we do a lot of them. And so, but like, then what do? You haven't found a new solution. You've just realized it's all fucked. And I think that's why there's this natural instinct towards. I mean, there's so many people that were raised in some form of Christianity that I know that don't go to church anymore. But when you talk to them about it, they'd be like, I fucking want to. But I go to these places and I'm like, why do you do this stuff? And they're like, it's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't really want to do that. I want to wear a hat. I don't want to like wear certain clothes. I mean, if there's a reason. But I want to, for the most part, I think I'm okay to come up with my own rituals. But then it's like, well, I already do that. Do I need to share that do I need to convert people to do like, hey, let's every morning get up at this time and do this, and on this day of the year, let's do that. There's so most rituals that are like you see across multiple religions, are all well before the religion existed. They were things that were important to human society, like a harvest festival, celebrating planting in the spring. It's just like, because your life depended on it. And then as the religions formed downstream from that, you get these kind of, well, why do we always have a big feast in the fall? I don't know, it's just what we do. It's like, no, it's because that's when you harvest all the food and you have a fuck ton of it. And it's right before winter when you've learned you're going to be hungry as shit. And so you're just kind of like, it's like, I don't really know why or who I'm supposed to say this to, but like, thanks for all the fucking food.
Mm-hmm.
But also fuck you because I got to do it all over again. But that's life. And so let's just have a little fucking food. I don't know. I'm like making this all up. This could be totally wrong. But I have the fall feast is a common one, the spring rebirth, right? All of that. All right, let's see here. Make new rituals. So guarantee success. I mean, that's kind of what I feel like. But then you immediately can see the problem that's going to happen down the road is that why you did those particular. I mean, the world will change, technology will change eventually, and I think quicker and quicker. So I don't think there ever will be another 2,000-year-long religion ever again. I could be wrong. I don't know. Assuming we don't lose the thread of our current history, which I think we might. And then there definitely will be another 2,000-year-long religion all over again. But some people consciously, a lot of people unconsciously, I think, are all sort of, number one, know something's wrong. And number two, because they're good people, or real people anyway, they're like, I'm in a search. I'm searching. I don't know what for. I may not know why. But something other than what currently exists. which I would say is if you're feeling that way, then you're paying attention. You're involved and engaged with reality, because that's what it's telling you. We just found out on a high holy Christian day, probably the holy one, the resurrection, symbolic in so many ways. And then also this goofy, arbitrary Women's Month. But it's cool. Cool. I'm for it. They double birded everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And then as the middle finger itself is transgenderism, which now is like, oh, cool. So we just got wielded, and now we look unbelievably bad. Not that they didn't already for lots of different reasons, but I'm sure somewhere out there, there's some transgendered person in their private home who knowing like they just never fucking, they just are like, it's like, I to some degree feel bad for that person.
I mean, like you were talking about the statistics behind transgenderism and how a vast majority are like severely depressed afterwards or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
So, but it's not 100%, right? It's just a large percentage.
No, not 100.
So,
well, I mean, so it's.
But the way that
Go
I've
ahead.
always thought about it, and I feel like that just further shows, is there's just so much force. Like there's so much people like telling you to do it. No, you need to be transgender, or that, you know, so that's not really a decision. And afterwards you're like, I'm not satisfied because it really wasn't my decision, and now I'm severely depressed. And so yeah, that one person who is genuine in it and is now just thrown out in the middle of the arena,
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like that is a thing.
It's what, misery loves company. And again, this just taking a big shit on everybody on Easter. I'm sure this came from somewhere. Somebody was wired for real as some kind of anomalous mental sample of a human individual, but in being so miserable, you see, it shocked me to learn as an adult how many people become like this. But they get miserable for whatever reason. They didn't become what they wanted to be. They had a shitty start and never come to terms with it. But their idea of this is to do what Biden just did with Easter. It's like, I'm just gonna fucking ruin it since I have to be here.
You think that
I'm gonna ruin it for everybody.
So you think that it's a sadistic approach as opposed to a self-preservation?
Yeah, I don't think they want to be here, but they also are too cowardly to just quit without, like, it's. So what I guess I would say is they do want to be here and they can't admit it to themselves. I mean, consciousness, I think, is a heavy burden.
Yes.
And if you're unlucky enough to be conscious, which I think, frankly, you kind of are or you're not, although people are so, I think maybe there is a middle ground where you can be woken up a la Matrix. I don't know. My honest thoughts on that is, I mean, you either are, you aren't, or can you be woken up in a single lifetime? I kind of feel like you must need to have the existing architecture for it, and either to be, if you're going to be conscious at all. But if you have it, why wouldn't you be in the first place? I don't know. Separate discussion. But consciousness is a heavy burden, and I think even probably both of us and a lot of people watching the show who are good people have gotten so overwhelmed by the burdens of being conscious that you don't want to deal with it anymore. Seeing this tranny news on Easter makes me feel that way, which is what it was intended to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you have two kinds of people. Like when I feel shitty, and I guess I'll ask you too, I think I know what the answer will be, but when you feel shitty, do you feel the need do you go out into the world and spread that around? Or do you sort of isolate? Because I isolate. Like if something.
It's definitely not the first option.
What do you mean?
Well, I don't know if I isolate, but I definitely don't. I mean, I try to.
Well, I mean, do you
not.
like? Would you feel morally justified in like going and kicking in somebody's door and being like, "Hey, you need to hear about my problems"?
No, that's why I text you.
Right. Well, so we're obviously, have a different level of relationship, I guess, in that sense, and we're friends. But like, excluding those sorts of things in a general big picture, general rule of thumb sort of way. Yeah, I don't feel in the right that I have a right to go do that. But I think some people do. They believe they have a right to kick down your door
Mhm.
because whatever they think is true, and that's way more important.
Mhm.
And so that's religious zealot, zeal. It's a zealot. It's a true believer.
Hmm.
Back to the chat here for a second. Ishmael transition into a real boy. Pinocchio comment, maybe. It's B.O. So Coop Cooper, it's being human. Don't apologize for being a fallible human. Nobody's perfect, and if they say they are, it's all the evidence I need to realize they are not. Yeah, no, I agree. Things you say quickly get misconstrued. I always shouldn't police my own language so much, and I'm working on that. That was ironical. Twitch 307, just beat your meat. To a degree, there's some wisdom there. But this idea, which I think Gen X Granny already mentioned, is we're also in a weird time that there's nowhere uncharted left to go to run away from all this. So you have this logic of like, well, when you're faced with a problem, you can always just run away, which has been true for all of history until now. And added in is all the digital tracking and fucking like you probably can't escape if they really want to find you. And that's really stressful. I think people are sort of slowly waking up to the idea that like it's not that the walls are closing in, they're already there. And so that choice becomes, well, there is nowhere left to go. You got to make where you are now work or not. There is no more running away from problems. So again, with today is just ignoring this whole Biden thing and pretending it didn't happen because that's the Christian thing to do. No, I don't think so. I don't know. Check me on that, chat.
How easy
Dodgers,
is it
a professional isolationist.
to start your own religion?
Yeah, I mean, it's not. And I don't think people should do that. I mean, I talked in that with Dodger right there in Severe. I believe to some degree that there's 10 billion different religions on the planet. Everybody's their own religion. We've probably talked about that to some. But then if you sort of study those scientifically, you'll see tons of overlap on certain things, which is just like most people's of the 10 billion religions will include some version of don't run up to somebody on the street and just stab them in the eyeballs. Or that Boondock Saints comment, right? There's some pretty just like largely agreed upon taboos cross-culturally everywhere on the planet. And if you look at the, separation of church and state and there has to be a state of some kind. You have to have somebody in charge. I think the original laws as they were was pretty close to a structure of that idea. And now we have so many conflicting, contradictory laws. The law is so much bigger than it used to be or needs to be. There's a lot of weeds. Again, not original ideas. People have figured this out already. Go ahead.
Is it at all feasible to have some kind of method for... It just feels like what we do is we continually add something to laws and regulations. Is there some kind of method to which we can remove laws or regulations? Is there something like, after some X amount of time, it's reevaluated?
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely repeal stuff or strike it down as unconstitutional if it gets to the Supreme Court.
Oh, I'm saying once it's in place, though.
Well, so again, it's a really interesting time. So here's one really big one is I don't think the country can survive, and a lot of countries can't survive right now without massive deportations to preserve the culture. But like, how would you realistically pull that off given the current climate? Not literal climate, but like political, social climate. It's interesting that the seeds have been planted in the mainstream. So, I mean, to some degree, the people in charge are like, this is a fucking problem. So let's put the idea out there and see what people say. But I don't believe it's too late, and you see constantly throughout history, it always seems like it's too late until some dude like Sulla or Caesar pops up and is like, oh, all public opinion, huh? And I mean, it feels like we're headed that way. I mean, Trump to some degree is a very, very watered down version of that. People like to say he's Hitler, but like, People like I don't think people really understand like what was going down in Rome, like how many people were getting killed. Caesar was a general.
Mm-hmm.
He marched on Rome. Like when Trump leads an armed force into DC and burns down buildings and shit, then maybe we can talk about Hitler.
I don't
but
see him doing that.
we're so far away from even coming close to how
Mhm.
bad it can get.
Mhm.
Still,
I don't think he'd ever pick up a gun.
No. I mean, he's not Caesar,
Mhm.
and I mean, Caesar didn't win. I mean, he did it. But so you learn from that is all right. Well, there's more steps to be taken to pursue, however that works. So, Maximum Midwest, welcome. Let's strip everything down to the basics. Skipping the separate, make deportation great again, sell the hamster again. They can amend laws to remove code. Yeah, amendments. I think I said repeal,
Mm-hmm.
but amendments, great point since we've been talking about that they've done that. Americans going down like the Titanic certainly can feel that way for sure, and very well may be true. Not arguing with you. Grandma Saul, a Fug Ishtar. Spaghetto 7. People will support deportation if it's the alternative. Yes, there will. I do believe it will happen eventually. Maybe. Or we just get consumed by this wave. But there is a lot of people on the left, surprisingly now, that you hear some interesting comments from about this whole immigration thing. And then it's been quite humorous watching the governor of Texas send the illegals all over the country. At the same time, it has not been humorous watching illegal cells of potentially anarchist terrorists being placed all over the country.
Mm-hmm.
And on that note, yeah, we are about 1 hour in, so we are going to take our customary 10-minute break. And we will be back. We're a little short. I don't know. Let me come back to the chat here for just a minute because I'm seeing some new names. Mal and Zortan talking to each other. Eric Smitherino, America's a little capsule. On its way to the Titanic. William Maines, they've gotten away from the word of the law and are just using precedent. It's all become a game. Yeah, making up fake laws in order to make up other fake laws. And yeah, it's just a mess. The science research is the same. Fake citations of fake citations of fake citations of fake research. They're often real citations, but the research is fake. Lord Dink, new name. U.S. could use someone in a similar vein to Bukele. Do you know that guy down in
I don't think so.
Yeah, El Salvador? I mean, he is a good example. He is, in one hand, being what you could call very tyrannical.
Mm-hmm.
He just said, let's just throw everybody with gang tattoos in prison without any evidence of them committing crimes. We'll get all the crime stopped. Kind of interesting. Would be kind of nice. It would be kind of nice. I don't have any gang tattoos. They wouldn't get me. My gang tattoos are in lemon juice, and they only appear when you set me on fire.
Oh boy,
You
then
do that
everyone would be set on fire.
Be like Haiti up in here.
Uh,
White meat. I'd be in the white chicken aisle in a cannibal grocery store. I would be a desirable product, I think.
Ribs, a lot of bone, not a lot of meat.
Pretty skinny, that's true. I don't exercise a lot, though, so I'm probably pretty soft. I'm probably like
tender.
Wagyu. I'm Wagyu chicken.
Oh my.
Got a lot of marbling. Got a lot of, I'm hungry, can you tell? We're going to take a short... We're going to take a short non-cannibal break. Maybe. We will. There's my button. Be right back. Let's say 10 minutes. It's Easter. We're going to have a slow
burn.
a slow burn. And while we slow burn, we'll kill some whales.
Oh my.
No, that's a bad idea because that whale solo would be brutal for 10 minutes.
Oh.
This is my favorite commercial break we've done so far. We're not even on break yet. We're like 3 minutes into it.
It's a good one.
All right. We'll see you guys in 10 minutes. Oh, that was nice. That was a nice cigarette. Glorious. We'll be right back. We're back. We're back. Happy Easter. Happy Easter. Welcome back to the 3cc Easter edition. I originally thought we'd have some special guests for you. I don't think they realized it was Easter. So it's the Autist and myself today. We've been having an excellent conversation with the chat about the separation of church and state, and then today being Easter, and then Team Joe Biden, because Joe Biden is a sack of rubber. Team Joe Biden declaring it Trans Awareness Visibility Whatever Day. Johnny Mojack in the chat. The Deacon. Hello, one and all. Happy Easter, everyone. Can't wait to get back to the show. Just texted me a little bit ago. He said he's healing up well. Good to hear. I hope you're having a good Easter. Mojack. Diane Cheesebro. This music made me want to either meditate or take a nap. We're getting some nods. I have dialed back the classic song because I think it's a little too aggressive for some of the more serious political stuff we've been trying to do. But I have an instrumental version of it somewhere. I think I might swap out for this goofy jungle music, although it does crack me up. It does crack me up. Atomic Annie on Pilled, hello. Pilled sends these weird double stickers when he sends stickers. Don't know why. But it's all good. I'm also realizing nothing's flying across the screen on this show.
Uh-oh.
Something broke there. Oh, well. The Harambe phone is chilling. Let's sit. We should have napped him and then woke him up. We should have said, go to sleep, sweet prince. Wake up, sweet prince. Welcome back, Harambe phone. Dodge Dude 787. Joe Biden is going to break in your house. What makes you think he's not already here? We should get, like, I've thought about stuffing my gorilla suit and putting it in the third chair. Or like a Biden. I could maybe with a lot of effort, I could probably make the Harambe phone robot, like, talk. A lot of effort. A lot of effort that I'm not going to put in. But damn it, I could.
Then you don't have to solo the show.
Just have a whole AI Harambe phone. Just we're talking, and then it just chimes in. Boop, 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 boop. You guys probably already became best friends with all the fucking 60 hertz hums it's putting off, and then you're just like, wow, that's deep, man. I never thought about that before, because you speak hertz.
Yeah, we've had quite the conversation.
You have a large hertz vocabulary. I had a donut during the break, so I'm no longer thinking about cannibalizing people.
You were while you're eating it,
I
though.
was. I was. What kind of person does a donut make you think of?
What kind of person does a donut make
Well,
me
like
think of?
if you're eating a donut and you were to say, what kind of person is that? Is it a Haitian? No, that's a dirt cookie.
Good God.
It's a bonbon. Not a Haitian. Donuts are not Haitian. We've established that in the beginning of this second hour. Again, welcome. The Deacon, good to see you. Chad Ruin on Rumble, happy Easter. Zortan PR with the double sticker. Coop Cooper, everyone gets it wrong. The separation of church and state is not to keep religion out of the government, it's to keep the government out of church. It's both. It's both, I would argue. Coop Cooper. It's both. It's one and then the other. It's a paradox. It's how you know they were arriving at the truth. Deacon Blackblade. That's not your real name. Howdy, gentlemen. What do you think about the Argentina president shaking things up? That is a whole conversation we'll probably have to do a separate show on. But I think it's humorous. You know, you've been watching the Argentine president at all?
On what news?
Just anything. And
No.
he just does lots of stuff.
Like what?
I don't know.
Okay.
He's humorous. I don't want to get derailed on the Argentine president because he's too good of a topic. We'll save him for later. Deacon Blackblade from the famous show Game of Thrones. The Harambot says Thos Alman. Cunning stunt, but how's the quad? Missed that one, I think. Blueprint. What? Bofum. It's degraded. Let's get back into some content.
Okay.
Let's jungle music down. Separation of church and state. Joe Biden Day 2024 politics. Trump. Forming a Congress, hour 2, we say, is what we're talking about. The Congress begins to take shape. This is true. So we had a great test call with, I believe, 5 or 6 people from the Gilded, which you see the logo in the bottom right now. There's a link in the description of the video on all platforms, I believe. Best place to get in touch and start real conversations about anything if you want to participate. But I skipped this week and told everybody we weren't doing it yesterday because I thought we were going to have guests, and then we didn't have those guests. We could have done it. I'm sorry. But we may do it next week. But the idea of having up to 25 people or more, but we can whip up whatever we want, in either this Sunday show or at a different time on Sunday or a different day of the week. But I should have had this up. I did finally, on the old website, get a place to keep this moderately organized, which is johnwardcinematics.com/3cc. You will see this map here in Pennsylvania, John Ward and the Deacon Mojack. Over in Missouri, Maximum West Midwest, I know Moonchild in Florida, I know William Maines out in California, and some others. I will update this as people start joining us. I know Dodger has been involved. There's some basic instructions on how you can get involved. It's pretty simple. Basic camera. We're working on putting together a little list if you want to do no work whatsoever or not, technology's not your thing. Well less than $100. You probably already have a computer, in which case probably for free, or if you have a phone, you can participate in the 3CC. It is just now the end of March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. There's a lot of time left. The normies haven't even started paying attention yet. But we're getting started now. If you start trying to reach out in June, July and want to jump in when it's really running full steam, I probably won't even see it. I won't see it. I also don't think everyone should get involved. But you're invited. You're invited. Wear a costume, create a name like Autist 0.92. Maybe I'll even send everybody a hat when they become delegates with their fun names. HO in China. Couldn't find my regular hat. This is my second favorite. It's pretty good. That was our guest.
Are you gonna make a hat for the
Like a little fucking red hat for him? Obviously, yes. Obviously, that's happening.
Nice. Can't wait to see it.
The Haramba phone. I really wish it didn't hum or I would turn it on, but it hums so bad. R.I.P. Harambe. LPVP is FR33. Has he mentioned why he deleted all his old videos yet? I have. Ooh, Plick. Plick is helping people out. Plick is a nice guy. Dorpheus, pedocrats are out of control. Agreed. Ms. Babout, the brilliance of forethought of the First Amendment. The Supreme Court upholds all three: freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of assembly. You cannot parse or pick them up. That's a good comment. Also a good comment immediately below from the Deacon. Joe Biden can suck gorilla balls. I agree. He can. He will. He does. That gorilla's name is Michael Obama. What we were talking about is this. So get in here, make up a name, wear a costume. You can even have an avatar if you want, I think. If, like me, like the autist, like the Deacon, you're just like, it ain't illegal, number one. I'm American, number two. I do what I want. And also, this is the year. That's the main thing. It seems to be. This is the year. Whether you've gotten motivated by this show or far more important people. Scott Pressler's got me motivated. Local politics, things like that. Join the 3CC, the Third Continental Congress. You got ideas? What is the problem? How do we solve it? You want to meet up with people in your area? Probably don't do that. But if you enjoy the view from the inside of a barrel full of acid, go ahead. This is all digital. These aren't our real. We're not real. Nothing's real. Nothing matters. Segue.
Okay.
Into the, oh God, the buttons. Big Mike. Big Mike. Separation of church and state. It's both. It's both. Keep the government out of religion. Keep religion out of the government. Is it possible? I'd kind of like to keep talking about that. If anyone wants to engage with those thoughts. What have I've lost my, oh, there's my focus range. And then we had kind of talked about with Dodger and Severe on that show, but this sort of weird problem, part of it anyway, is this idea that the right is, in a sense, best described as a group of individuals, paradoxically, or at least that's what it needs to become in order to combat the left, which I think is probably best defined as sort of a leaderless hive mind. I really do believe the fundamental psychological drive behind the left, which is not a monolith, but there's lots of overlap, is the idea that life is not worth living. It's that team. That is the team. And I actually think my team is sort of in the middle, and there's like 3 people ever that have ever been on it, which my position would be is I don't necessarily disagree with you. However, there is an exit door that's the size of one person that you're welcome to take anytime you want. Anytime you want. That's the middle team, I think. And then you have the right, which is life is excellent, and there is no reason to ever do that. I'm curious how many middle team people there are, but that is a stupidly reductionist and oversimplified kindergarten way of thinking about it. But if you think about physics, ultimately, a fundamental dichotomy being matter and antimatter, which when combined annihilate into nothing. I think the antimatter of the noetic universe in which we live, of the anthropic universe in which we live, is the verb, the mindset, the moving, conscious hive mind idea that I am alive and life is not worth living. And then I think the opposite of that is life is pretty cool without a whole lot of awareness or thought about it at all. And then a new kind of people popping up, I think, more and more as they gain courage and realize a lot of people think the same, which is that there is a third way, an excluded middle out, which is that everybody on the left and right can have everything they want at the same time if they stop needing other people to also be that way. And that this was a very fundamental idea behind the idea of the formation of the United States, and thus a fundamental idea of them realizing the need to not have it dominated by religious thought. And then, of course, the one problem that they couldn't know the outcome of because it had never been tried before is what happens when you do that. Now we know. Now we know. And so the new great philosophical or spiritual challenge of our time, maybe, is what comes next. And I think there is something that could come next. I don't know. Your thoughts?
On what's going to come next?
Do you buy into that the world's just getting more and more complex, people are getting smarter, more interesting, we need to sort of reestablish a new social contract built on what I would call a good foundation, but now accounting for the things that have changed in the world?
I definitely believe in adjustments, but I don't know if it's because of people getting smarter.
Fair.
I mean, I do think that things need to be adapted for change in time, change in environment, change in circumstances. Things change. I think it's very difficult to have some kind of set rules or guidance throughout all of that.
Which would you say, do you see that when you look at, or if you look at the American government as it was written?
Absolutely.
In acknowledgement that it would change, that's fundamental to it, and that at some point these pieces of paper won't be enough. You're going to have to.
No, I don't know how feasible it is or what it would look like in the long run, but I actually like the idea of some kind of like reset. So the idea is you have some foundation, some baseline, and obviously we can modify things. That's the intent, adapt with the times, environment, whatnot. But I really like the idea of some kind of reset that allows for, okay, well, let's go back to our foundation, our fundamentals, and see if we end up going that same route again. Because if we do, then we know that that was maybe the right route to go. Or maybe we end up going a different route. Maybe there's things we didn't need, and we find out by not using them a second time that we don't need them.
So I had a thought and then I checked myself. I should have just said all this out loud. But I mean, I guess, okay, so you do this reset. Just trying to play devil's advocate here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me say it this way. I'm not a big fan of adding more laws. I think, like, if anything, there should be less.
Mm-hmm.
So using this Easter situation specifically, right? So Easter is a very important holiday to Christians, which are a big part of your population, possibly the majority of your population. You're the king of this United States right now.
Sure.
And then you have transgenders who want to do Tranny Day on Easter at the White House too. What does your law say? The new law that gives a clear answer to everybody. What is that phrasing? Do you think we should continue to try to separate church and state? Number one, I guess. Or should we just pick a religion and become that? I mean, I think no matter what, that is what we are doing, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the religion we're picking is not an existing one, which is what's cool, I think.
Mm-hmm.
We're creating it. We're realizing we need to do that to some degree. And again, I'm not saying like Jesus isn't real. That stuff doesn't matter. I'm not saying anything like that. But I think maybe kind of like you're saying, I think, is just that we have an incomplete picture. We need to continue creating, it's just we've learned there's more to it, maybe. But again, how would you simplify what's already on paper and yet have it clearly so that someone in 200 years would say, well, this quite clearly means this about trannies also?
I think that's highly specific.
Well, yeah, I mean, so, but like, so I think the best example of what I'm getting at is the Second Amendment, which
Mm-hmm.
has the word shall not be infringed,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
which in my opinion, is impossible to misinterpret. And it's simple
Mm-hmm.
and it's elegant. And yet so I think we've also learned that there is nothing you can write that will be perfect. And even if it is perfect, some a-hole will just lie and be like, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't say that.
Well, that kind of goes to another thing of how I feel about stuff, which is people see and hear what they want to see and hear. So it doesn't matter what you write, the interpretation will be as desired.
So there's no point in mandating anything for people like that at all then, maybe to some degree.
Well, I think it definitely shows we should not be specific.
So this is what I find cool. It's Easter.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we're talking about this hypothetical ruler of the United States is now sounding a lot like the God of the Christian Bible and free will. So if you're a computer programmer programming a universe, and you're encountering these same problems, Jesus. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
first we had religions for the state, that didn't work out. So then we had this program, this little game of the United States, and that's worked out horribly the opposite way. You know what we really need in this program is just let everybody decide for themselves. And yet, is that not what if you want to call the world a simulation, but that's sort of the argument being made about exactly. People struggle with this idea of like, why do we have free will? It's like, I feel like it's one of the most obvious things ever if you've ever thought about how do you program a functional society. Because that's the logical terminus of talking about this out loud as we just have. This is like in so many ways, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I agree. I think that's what you're saying, and I agree with it, is that if you really think about this idea hard, instead of for 2 seconds, but we're now at it for about an hour, very casually and all that. I mean, but you don't, so that's illustrating the point is you don't really need to try that hard. You just need to keep thinking about it and not going out these little side fake exits. You will eventually end up at this idea of, well, if I'm the God of the universe and everything's fair, then everybody needs to just decide for them fucking selves. And then that becomes this weird paradox. It's like, well, you're not really fucking needed anymore, buddy. But of course, that's exactly what the United States is sort of, let's duck what happens when the fear of God is lost and everybody becomes their own God. So I don't know, are we doomed to this repeating cycle? Maybe we don't have any control over this at all. It feels like you can when you notice this happening. It's like, if I notice it happening, just like when somebody notices if you put a seed in the ground, it'll grow, then you can start to control it when you start to understand what the patterns are. So, it's got to be in sun, it needs water, blah, 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 blah. I don't know. Check the chat. I've been saying some weird shit. Free will out of love, no compulsion. And even totally without love, though, I think we've sort of taught, I mean, I agree, but like that giving people free will was maybe not a love-based choice. It was just a needs to be that way for it to function choice. I don't know. Protect your children. This is Astro Boy. From them, be vigilant. They will go away. Chronic. Oop, missed that one. Sorry. Going quick again. Gen X Boomer. Anarchy only works with a Christian worldview to a degree that, I mean, and the United States was sort of trying to be a controlled anarchy for decent people. And I think a totally decent society could be an anarchy and it would function just fine. I mean, 3 dudes living on a farm that all get along well and work together with no government is an anarchy. And yet no one's getting murdered, no one's stealing, no one's... You get the idea. The reality, as acknowledged by the founding fathers, quote unquote, was that that isn't how people are. So what can we do about it? River Spirit 7, starting by agreeing... Oop, too far away from me to separate those letters. It looks like an M with an extra loop. Definitions of what... Someone help me with that if you can, whatever that says. Kathy Floor Cruz, welcome back. Church and state have been one for centuries. Example, the Vatican. Yes, they've certainly existed, tons of them. I mean, and again, I think we still have, whether or not we say we have it, we have it. Or we don't have it, I guess I should say. Again, no religious symbols. Oops, religious symbols. There is nothing new under the sun, Jones knit. Manifestation, not simulation. Nothing can't exist for something already does. I mean, as is Thos Alman, but yeah, I mean, I like thinking about this kind of stuff. That was more on Severe and with Dodger on that stream. We were freed to talk openly more about that sort of thing. Very much like to do that with anybody interested. And again, the Gilded is the place to get in touch quickly. Also, I saw some people did join the Gilded, but never like reached out. They had emailed me, and so I pointed them that direction. You can send private messages to me on Gilded, I think. If you can't, then say so in the chat, and I'll turn that on. But yeah, it's people will reach out and then immediately be like, "Oh, I shouldn't have done that." So that's you've been trained to feel that way, by the way. But again, it's just now the end of March. Today is a day of resurrection and rebirth. It's a good time to talk about this in a friendly way. Just say, hey, consider coming back to life, coming out of the cave. It might be fun. It might suck. A lot of similarities between Christ's resurrection and Plato's allegory of the cave. Just saying. Just saying. Lady Mimi, I don't think I've seen before. At Rast, indeed he is. X, welcome to the show. Okay, so Missed Side Conversation, Maximum Midwest, Second Amendment, Mutually Assured Destruction. There's a lot to be said about mutually assured destruction being maybe the only way human beings can function as a society. I think that is how, thank you, Maximum Midwest, but I think that's actually a really important thing. Let's talk about that for a second. The whole pop culture example, second season of True Detective is about this system in California that Democrats have built. I think the quote is, this whole place is built on a bunch of fucked up codependencies. Right? So you create a thing, how do totally lying, full of shit people manage to work together so well and not rat each other out and things like that? Because they have mutually assured destruction. That's how. That second season, which is, again, pop culture, but it was one of the least popular ones. I think it's actually quite complicated and worth a second watch if you want to. It's entirely what it's about. You know, these people they hire to start poison wells and start fake fires and things. Sound familiar, right? So thank you, Maximum Midwest, for pointing that out, and the Second Amendment being a form of that. I mean, that is, I think, accurate. Where is the link to the yellow hoodie? Oh, the all-over one from the movie. Not currently selling that. The store is just getting a bit of a reboot here. Did have that up. This is probably the closest thing to it right now, these sweatpants. We probably will bring that back. I do like that hoodie. And then also Dodger has been making some, I really should have had a link to his. We got some 3cc gear coming out. Hi, kitty. Orange Cat Good is over here now. Hey, buddy. You want to say hello? They're getting more comfortable with the noise. Do you want to say something? Say, fuck, I'm a fucking cat, John. I am a cat. I have no idea what's happening right now, other than I just like to sit on you when you're at the computer. Because usually when you do that, you're there for a while. Oh, he is sitting. Holy shit. All right, hold on. Oh, buddy. You're not a little kitty anymore. Very professional. Very professional. All right. Look at the Amish, says Jones Knit. What program? Let me catch back up on the thread of what's going on here. This is a good comment from Blueprint. It's easier to describe imprisonment to a person than describe the path of freedom. This may be a good fundamental insight. I don't know. Dude. Dude, I can never get you to do this when I want you to.
He's committing to it.
He's fucking here to stay. All right. Come on, buddy. Let me put my... You gonna start typing?
He is.
Jesus Christ. This is... I thought we were past this stage of the show. Do. Achoo. All right, there you go. Get the fuck out of here. Go over, yes, go over there. Oh, he's a good cat though, man. Cats are the new in animal. Did you know that? Dogs are out, cats are in.
Oh, the new. Okay. Why is that?
Used to be cats were gay and dogs were straight. Now dogs are gay and cats are straight.
Wait, what? Where are you getting your?
From women. Used to walk down the street with a dog and women be like, that guy's straight.
Hmm.
Now they're like, he looks like he voted for Biden with that dog.
I don't know if that's.
I
true.
need me a cat, man.
I don't feel like that's true.
I know, I'm just fucking. Of course it's not true. Yeah, cats have a way of knowing when you're busy doing something and deciding that's not what they want you to be doing. Yeah. Closeted AI. The auto chat's still working. Holy crap, cat. Now he's eating my microphone. God damn, kitty. Damn. William Main says Epstein and Diddy. That was on my list of things to talk about. To you, you probably don't follow any of that shit. Do you even, like, when I say Diddy, does that mean anything to you? Like who that is?
No.
Truly? It's fucking why we're friends. I say it every show. P. Diddy used to be known as Puff Daddy.
Okay.
Does that mean anything to you? The rapper?
No.
Truly?
Yeah.
Incredible.
Okay.
You're a hero.
Thank you.
A true hero. Well, Jeffrey Epstein, you know who he was, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here's the short version. P. Diddy is a rapper who's now older. Is apparently turning out he's basically been the Black Epstein.
Mm.
And he's Epsteined all the music industry, including like Justin Bieber and stuff.
Wow. Okay.
Which most of us, when the story broke, we said, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You have half the internet going, Justin Bieber was involved in homosexual, non-consensual acts. And the other half of the internet was like, that's in my post history from like 2010. That's what I said.
Mm-hmm.
So when he got tattooed and started boxing,
Mm-hmm.
didn't tip you off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I saw some of that a while back.
Is he part of the show? Who knows? Is he part of a Weinstein-esque controlled demolition? Maybe. Bieber, I'm talking about. Are you a believer? You? Autist?
Me? A what? A believer?
Do you believe?
I feel like that's a no.
You're not a believer.
I don't think I am, no.
Which day of the year is the Easter for believers? Well, it's definitely, we've learned it's in Black History Month. We know that now. So that would be February. All right. What's the rapiest number between 1 and 28?
What are we talking about?
Belieber Easter.
I don't.
Beleaster.
Okay.
Beepster. I don't know. I just what I was really kind of seriously getting at there. I don't know if I feel bad for Justin Bieber or not in this whole P. Diddy Epstein thing.
I mean, I think I feel bad for a lot of people.
I just don't know enough about how much responsibility he has in what happened. But he was a pretty young kid when it all started, so I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I feel like he was
I'm pretty sure it rhymes with grape.
I'm pretty sure he was used puppet or other.
Literally.
Yeah.
That being said, he also has $900 trillion.
Yeah, but that's not going to erase memories.
No, not worth it. But I'm just saying it's hard for me to feel that bad.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's hard for me to feel that bad.
Emotional damage is rough.
I agree. If I was him, it would have been biblical. And it might still be. We still might legitimately get to watch like Kanye West and Justin Bieber jump out of an SUV and start shooting rappers at like a fucking Oscar event. That could happen. That's on the table now. 50 Cent is going hard against all this. This is the stuff people care about. 50 Cent, who was brought up under the wing of Eminem, who is quite obviously a homosexual at this point. I think it's pretty hard to argue he's not. Every cameo he's done, he's been shoving it in your face, culminating in the cameo in the movie The Interview at the beginning, where he straight up is like, I am gay and I've been leaving gay breadcrumbs. That's not a joke. That's not a joke. And for whatever reason, 50 Cent probably playing a role in part of the whole thing, but maybe not. Seems to have called this out. Maybe somebody gave him a booty squeeze back in the day when he was rapping with Eminem in the studio. You know, you can find me in the club. Whoa! Marshall. Yeah. He became worth 51 cents that day.
Mm.
Anyway. So P. Diddy, formerly Puff Daddy, probably the Black Epstein. Oh, this is worth mentioning. If you don't know how he came to prominence, he rode the coattails of a guy I actually really do like, who's been long dead, which is the notorious B.I.G., Biggie Smalls. Very talented wordsmith. He was P. Diddy's best friend. Puff Daddy was sort of the sidekick to Biggie. Well, Biggie got murdered, and that was the East Coast, and then the West Coast beef was with Tupac, who is also definitely gay, if you look back at his early stuff. Definitely. And then he got murdered. So I think kind of what happened, with the government's involvement or not, hard to say. I made a joke about this on Twitter, but like the movie Departed, Jack Nicholson's character is an FBI informant. And that's why he never gets arrested. Because apparently Epstein was not an anomaly. He's the playbook, as I think I heard somebody say. Diddy murders notorious B.I.G. probably because B.I.G. found out he was gay. And then he murders his gay competitor on the West Coast, Tupac. Oh, you got to get going?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot, man. I totally forgot. In the middle of this story. Yeah, I know. You got to get going. Broski.
All right, later.
I'll talk to you later. Happy Easter, man.
Let me do the shenanigans. Happy Easter.
Don't hit the Haramba phone.
I did not.
All right, he's still good. You got all your stuff, bud? Yeah, you're good. All right. So anyway, for real, P. Diddy, with or without the government's help, Frank Costello the rap industry and took it over. And then it basically became an all-you-can-believe buffet for like 30 years. And all the Disney stuff most of us knew about with Schneider and all that weirdo foot fetish. That's so weird. But it's connected. Later, also, yeah, he has to pick up his daughter. There is a very early episode of The Mezzanine that has the autist's whole backstory. It's actually probably one of the best episodes of this whole series back when it was The Mezzanine. So if you want to know him, quite a great guy, check out that episode for the backstory of why he just left. But outside of that, Mindo, boy, don't go counting weird shit now. Peace out, Audie, says cunning stunt. Chronic abundance. Diddy played himself in Bring Him to the Creek. Coop Cooper, in the mid to late 90s, I was into hip-hop. The ladies love it. I mean, I was too. I'm a weirdo with music. I've always been a lyrics guy over a sound guy. I like music that sounds good, don't get me wrong, but that whole, okay, so we're talking about psyops and propaganda and things the government was really behind. Well, let's talk about 90s rap. Talk about Eminem. Did rap really go fully mainstream white America before Eminem? Did it? It's not how I remember it. Yeah, there was NWA and all that stuff, and yes, it was interesting and cool and new. Needed a white face to break through, and then I don't know about you, but what's that stupid? It's actually not that bad of a movie. Super Bad, where Jonah Hill is dressed like Eminem in high school with the short blonde hair and the chin. Dude, I knew there was kids like that, and Eminem was a big deal for American culture. And all the battles he had on MTV about how he was getting censored and he was anti-gay, and then he showed up with Elton John. And yeah, he was, I believe, it's hard to argue looking back on seeing how obviously they do this now. Like Lex Friedman, how they just create these assets out of nowhere that just blow up way faster than is logically possible. Eminem did that. Not to say that he wasn't legitimately discovered in some way in Detroit. But just a theory. But once he was quite obviously gay, he started doing a lot better. A lot better. Career-wise I'm talking about. Punk, all this stuff, the whole music thing, I mean, again, with going all the way back to music is of the devil, and even in Greek mythology, things like that. one of the many industries that has been completely taken control of. The internet, again, by the way, is the thing that sort of almost got us out of all that control and then has been reeled back in and is probably more controlled than ever. But NWA, Eazy-E, AIDS. There were many, Snoop Dogg. There was many rappers. Those are the ones that made it. Come on. I think we could have multiple shows, chat, where we go back and look at the 90s. Probably going to be depressing, though. Mike Judge, Idiocracy. How about Mike Judge, Beavis and Butthead? Did he have a change of heart? Where did he get his start? I would consider, I don't think Beavis and Butthead is bad, but it was definitely part of that whole ugly animation, right? Like Ren and Stimpy, right? It's the brutalist architecture of cartoons in a sense. More vulgar. Ren and Stimpy used to be so controversial, and now it would look like nothing. Even Rick and Morty now. Ugly animation. Right, you get the idea. Good or bad, Dr. Dre, am I right? The 90s was the last great era. Again, I guess that's what he's gone. Was it? Or is it nostalgia? Was it a simpler time, or were we simpler people, aka younger people? I don't think this all goes all the way down to was Vietnam fake? How many people have died for how many thousands of years for no reason? And this distraction, this classic Biden, old money, old family, old human farming family. Let's let the Christians and trannies fight each other. And don't anybody notice that the people in charge are totally ignoring the laws. Totally ignoring the laws, chopping up, Edward Scissorhandsing the very concept of language. Are you back? You say, this is good talk. Let me get involved. Ugh. I know. Just how about under the board? Can I put the board on you? Maybe I can. That was a pretty quick mood shift there. From trying to be serious to a cat. Gen X in the chat, just saying. Gen X has great insight, I think. I like Gen Xers. They get a bad rap. I like the younger guys. Our guest today was going to be some college kids. Makes sense why they forgot it was Easter. We're going to try to get a weekly show going with them that'll have its own vibe. That'll be a lot of fun. Continuing local things like that, the importance of Pennsylvania in the upcoming election and other states and things like that. But it is 2024. We have the technology. We can get involved. If you're in a place that is certainly going one way or the other, then maybe you have a few minutes of spare time. If you change one vote, that could be the one. Could be. American philosophy. We were just ignorant and not red-pilled in the 90s. I agree. I think you call that a child, not in an insulting way. Everybody's born. I don't certainly fault kids for not having it figured out. Most adults don't have it figured out. And most adults will lie to you about having it figured out when they don't, whereas a kid will not. It's not a small thing. Not a small thing. Rasta says, I'm imagining the Red Hot Chili Peppers with the other side of the psyop. Not a bad thought. Dr. Tetanus. I wouldn't say he's extremely popular. Oop, missed a side comment there. Again, producer would be helpful. Talking to my invisible producer. I think that'll probably happen in the summer once schools of all kinds sort of end. Are you heading out, buddy? You picking up radio waves? I like hanging out with you, but this is like the 2 hours of the 1 day a week where I can't. And now you're, yeah. That would be hilarious. Yeah, do that. All right, let me go back to the chat if you can make that happen. Turning 51 in 5 days, says Gen X. 48, my kid's future, 47. Sean Stryker, 47. I do think kind of what we're trying to do with the 3cc, go back to that, and I know it's we're getting close to 4 o'clock here. This is sort of the administrative stuff, but it's not boring administrative stuff because we're trying to really get this dialogue going for real. Every other creator I've seen, and I don't fault them for this, and I probably should do it more myself, is focus. Some people agree. Is focus on building their own channel as a business, and putting a lot of emphasis on their individual ideas as their brand. Well, I like almost never talk about my individual ideas because I don't believe in it. And for the most part, I don't really like politics, and I'm way more interested in. I don't believe every single person on the planet has something brilliant to say at every moment. Okay, I'm very much Plato in the Republic. I don't like democracy, but I think it's pretty democratic to float the open choice of free will. Look, man, if you want to be involved, I'm saying I'm willing, so you can hold me to that, that I've told you that I'm willing if you want to be involved, but that's up to your free will. I've provided the gilded in just about every way I can think of to get a hold of me. Like that old Far Side cartoon with Jesus. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him walk on it. Right? Or you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink it. I don't think of you as horses. I'm not really trying to even lead you anywhere. I'm just shooting a gun into the night or howling like a wolf, and you hear the sound from however far away you are, and then you do what you want to do. Excuse me. But this year I would like to use this channel that I've done nothing with for 2 years because I was pretty done with trying to build anything out of it for myself. This is existing and no one else is doing it. And it's very fundamental to how America started. I don't really see a huge difference in what's going on categorically now versus what was happening around 1776 and earlier, or even when people just wanted to fuck off from Europe and were willing to risk going on a boat across an unknown ocean just to get away from the bullshit. I get what they feel like now. I know exactly how they feel. And I think a lot of you do too. It's sort of a higher ideal too, but I don't know about you, but for me, part of it is I'm refusing to look back one day at, or someone related to me, or even someone unrelated looking back. I don't care, and just saying you could have done something and you didn't. So no, I'm not going to say that. I don't think anybody should dox themselves. I don't think anybody should do anything that they haven't thought about heavily and are truly willing to do and have really thought hard about who else it might affect. And the importance of making money and having a job and having a family. If you have any system, like, again, that's all. You have free will. That's up to you, but I'm pointing it out. I don't know how else I could be more fair or make it any easier. But at a certain point, when you choose to participate, the help stops. Right? And then we want to know, who are you and what do you think? But we're very interested. I am anyway. Very interested. And you should expect me not, this idea that you jump into these things and everybody, it's a big hug fest and we all agree with each other, we've learned is not true, and then we've learned to accept that, nor should it be. That makes no sense. We should have a bit of fight. We're a group of individuals. We need to figure out what are the common things we can agree on. Outside of religion, what is the state that is separate from religion? What is that program? What is that algorithm? What are the axioms? What are the rules? And again, I don't think it really involves a lot of new thinking or exploration. I think if we bring together a group of people that have all done their own independent research, we might be able to derive from that what the answer to that question is. So that's the 3cc. I do believe a form of being anonymous is important. I think the goal is to become somebody that can be open and honest in yourself and just cut straight to it without being an anonymous. But being anonymous makes that a lot easier. And so again, truly, if you want to wear a costume or an avatar, something like that. But if you're trolling us, I'm just going to kick you out. You're never going to hear from me again. But I do believe that that can be done seriously. There's lots of examples like Vermin Supreme, things like that. Okay. That's legit. That's legit. So we will be back. Mantra and Mantra Bow, I remember you. The memberships, those are, again, the green names, and we've learned you can gift them to people for, like, I think a month or two. I know some people are getting very close to their 6th month. Your little yellow Harambe is going to turn into, I believe, a white one next. So that'll be fun. The memberships support the channel. what other administrative stuff. We're working on the film. There'll be more on that. It's been a wild week with Easter. I will be. There won't be a show next Sunday. That's right. The eclipse. Wow. Good. Thank you, assistants. I will be out of town to meet in person. I don't think I've asked him if it's okay to say this, so I'm not going to say who it was, but somebody who's been involved in helping a very, very long time. It is the year to physically shake hands. It might be our last chance, for God's sake. So, but then we head into April, which is a big pre-production month for the film. We're creating some new shows, I think. It's going to get cooler and cooler, and it seems so slow and kind of goofy right now because, again, the idea of having this polished and public-facing in a meaningful way, we're aiming for May. That's probably still too early, honestly. And then it would be great if the world didn't end. We could keep going on with this. Make films, music, things like that. So on that note, happy Easter, everybody. Thank you for joining me in the Autist. Mojack, hoping if you're still here that you are healing well. Oh. Give me this beast. Oh. I know, it's animal abuse. No se engaña. Shit. This is my religion. Sorry, PETA. Be free, buddy. Be free. He's free. Happy Easter from the Lion, Orange Cat Good. Black Cat Matters is around somewhere. Oh, there he is. He's right there. He's too heavy to pick up. He's about 75 pounds. Just kidding. He's not that big. I'm uncomfortable about it. So you can join the Gilded. You can use a fake name. You don't have to show your face. You don't even have to verbally talk. You can start it all with messages via text. I will never make you identify yourself in any way as long as you're not saying ridiculous shit. If you're already a creator, that's a big note to me that you're serious. So you say like, hey man, I already do stuff. I would like to come on and talk about stuff. Then skip the part of making me ask you for a link and just be like, yo, here's my stuff. Let's do it. And then you will need a decent enough camera, which should be under $20 these days, if not already built into your computer, and a decent enough mic, which is where, if I were you, I would spend more money than a camera, frankly. But a decent enough mic, which may already very well be built into your camera. And then Zoom, which is free. Right? And then a genuine commitment from me that you can hold me to and call me out on, that I'm so I tell you up front, I'm not going to be your friend and talk to you every day. I don't have time for it. I'm not like that. I will always respond to the good stuff, talk about the interesting stuff. It might be once a week or once every other day or once a month, or you might not hear from me from 2 months. But I'm serious. I think it's important, whether or not you think it's corny. I think we're really fucking close to this going a very bad direction. Very bad direction. To unironically awareness days of all kinds of fun stuff. So not to be that guy. I'm not scared by it. I'm not afraid of it. I don't think any of you are either. In a lot of ways, I think we welcome the challenge in a world that has otherwise been kind of stupid and meaningless up until now, which I think is a good way to look at it. So happy Easter. Quick shout out again, Severanon on Pilled. Friday show, there's a rerun with also Dodger. These are other creators. The Deacon Mojack has his own channel. I'm not sure if he's been posting since his surgery, but it is up. I would like to bridge this gap between everybody from ages of 20 till however old. I think we have lots to say to each other, men and women. I don't think there's anything wrong with the men focusing on more male-centric things and females on more female ones. It irritates me what they did about this Women's Month, just as it irritates me about this Christianity, and it's not about anything specific. It's just perhaps getting a little tired of being told what I can and can't do, can and can't think, when I am not doing that to anybody else. So I didn't see any of this in the 90s. It all seemed real. I've now become aware of your bullshit. I reject all the karma you've tried to project onto me to take responsibility for this by your little hints on this wonderful day of resurrection. Sorry, you're going to eat it. I deny. I deny it. Karma is yours. You want people to have your karma. You have to have them on board from day one, and you didn't. I think you're starting to realize that. And you're just trying to burn it all down on your way out, or possibly create enough confusion to escape while the building's on fire. But I've seen that before too. I certainly today hold no ill will towards any transsexual people that did not declare it a day of awareness for themselves. I have nothing for you as individuals. I don't want to be your friends. I don't agree with what you do, but that goes for everybody else here too. So you're not special. I hate everyone. And I really mean that in a deep, you have free will kind of way. And I expect the same in return, to be held accountable to some degree. But most of all, I'm willing to put in effort and energy and time at whatever expense necessary to figure out the answer to what is the problem, and then figure out the answer to what do we do about that. So the email is there. The Gilded is the one I will definitely get back to you on. You've been warned. And then we should be back, not next Sunday, although I probably between now and then we'll do something like on an off day, maybe before I go out of town. And then we're hitting it heavy. We have politicians, we have college kids, we have different shows coming, different nights of the week. We have the film with Quite Frankly. We have Dodger making all this cool artwork. We have connecting with Severe Unpilled and getting more involved over there. Excellent platform, by the way. Foxhole, Pilled.net. Rumble is growing. Rumbles are growing. It's a fucking nuts time. Swear, don't swear. I don't care. It's your free will. Happy Easter. Consider resurrection. That is it for today. I am John Ward, and until next time, remember, you're a world champion. Don't let your memes be dreams. There it is. There it is. There it is. Happy Easter. Have a good Sunday. I will see you all sometime. No show next Sunday. We'll do a live show before, and then Resurrection Revolution, something like that. Oh,